Hollow Victory Part 2. Harry is claiming a big win in the phone hacking case against MGN. But upon closer inspection, Harry is a big fat loser as usual.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the King YouTube channel.
Okay, so just in case you did not listen to part 1 of this little series, we're talking about the phone hacking trial where Harry is suing Mirror Group newspapers because he claims that various stories that were published from between 1996 and 2010 were obtained through unlawful means, phone hacking being the most common one. So the trial is considering a sample of 33 cases, of which 15 were found to be the result of unlawful activity. Now, the reason that I'm dedicating so much time to talking about each and every story is because it really just goes to show how divorced from reality Prince Harry is. What is obvious when we look closely at each and every one of these pieces is that Harry doesn't fully understand the concept of evidence. Harry believes that his feelings are evidence and that his assumptions are evidence. And he also clearly believes that it's the responsibility of MGN to prove that they didn't engage in unlawful information gathering. Some of the judge's responses also are absolutely hilarious. So if you didn't listen to part 1 yet, please go ahead and listen. And now on to part 2. In part 1 of this video series, we made it through item 15 on the list of 33 cases, and now we're on to number 15. So this was a story that was published by the Daily Mirror on November 29th of 2004. Harry is a Chelsea fan is the headline. So basically, this was just an article showing a photo of Chelsea Davy, whom Harry had begun seeing. And Harry is claiming that the story's author was a prolific user of private investigators who were known phone hackers. MGN, on the other hand, is claiming that the details came from a previous report in the Mail on Sunday, and also to confidential sources who they, of course, didn't name. Well, the judge did side with Harry on this. The judge ruled that Chelsea Davy's identity was obtained from private investigators commissioned to, quote, blag flight information, credit card details, or phone billing data. Interestingly enough, it sounds again like it wasn't even Harry's phone that was hacked. It sounds like it was Chelsea's. So, in my opinion, if anybody has a right to file suit, it's Chelsea, not Harry. Actually, most of the wins for Harry came from the time he was with Chelsea. We got another one. This was a piece that was published on December 13th of 2004 in the Daily Mirror with the headline When Harry Met Daddy: The Biggest Danger to Wildlife in Africa. And this piece was reporting that Harry had been introduced to Chelsea Davy's father the day before publication, and that he was on vacation in Mozambique. So Harry has claimed that his travel plans were kept secret for security reasons, and the publisher is alleging that information was already in the public domain. Well, the judge decided that the Mirror did indeed obtain flight info from a private investigator using unlawful information gathering, and so he decided to let Harry win this one. Who knows, though? MGN could be right that the information was already in the public domain, but at the same time, it sounds like they did use a PI to use some phone hacking to get that information. So it sounds like the judge did make the right decision on this one. Now, honestly, the main reason that I want the judge to treat Harry fairly in all this is because, just think about it. If Harry can claim unfair treatment by the judge, he's going to whine even more and he's never going to shut up about it. The next two pieces, Harry ended up winning as well. So the first one was published in the Daily Mirror on January 15th of 2005. Headline is Harry's Girl to Dump Him. In this double-page article, they reported that Harry was about to be dumped by Chelsea and that she had given Harry a tongue lashing down the phone. Now, Harry has said that it was obvious that MGN journalists were digging around his associates. MGN, on the other hand, is claiming the details for that piece came from the public domain as well as a confidential source. And the other piece also came out on January 15th of 2005 in the Daily Mirror. Headline is Chelsea is not happy. This article claimed that Chelsea was furious that Harry flirted with a mystery brunette at a party at which he wore that Nazi uniform. And this piece also claimed that Chelsea gave him a tongue lashing down the phone. So Harry has claimed that the call data proves that journalists were digging around my associates to gain private information about me. And he questioned how on earth the journalist knew about his calls with Chelsea. But MGN is maintaining that the info came from a previous public report and also a confidential source. Well, it's no surprise that the judge did decide that MGN engaged in unlawful information gathering, and so Harry won this one. So it does sound like some of Harry's complaints about media intrusion when he was with Chelsea Davy are legitimate. But again, it sounds like they were hacking Chelsea Davy's phone, not necessarily Harry's. And I can't help but wonder, is Harry going to give Chelsea Davy some of the money that he wins in this case? Well, probably not, because after all, this is Harry's only source of income these days. Basically, Harry has to use everything he's got to keep Meghan in the lifestyle she has become accustomed to. Chelsea's also not weighing in on any of this. Smart girl. She's got her own life to focus on. She has her own family. She does not want to be dragged through the mud again, all thanks to Harry. Number 19 on the list is You Did What? It came from the Sunday Mirror and was published on February 6th of 2005. And this was a story about the person who denied selling photos of Harry dressed as a Nazi at a party to a newspaper. Oh, yeah, you remember this one. This is also the Harry dressing as a Nazi incident that he claims was William and Catherine's fault because they were the ones who encouraged him to dress like that. Well, this is another case of Harry making an absolute spectacle of himself and then being shocked that people are noticing him. Well, don't be such an attention seeker, Harry. Anyway, he lost this one, of course, because the judge decided that most of that information about Harry wearing that swastika armband at a party was previously published in The Sun and the Mail on Sunday. Harry claimed the details of how Charles decided to punish him were in fact not part of a public apology, and he claimed that MGN used unlawful techniques to get the information. But I think MGN was honest when they said the info came from previous reports and also a confidential source. And that brings us all the way up to number 20. We've got Who Dares Windsors. So this was published in the Daily Mirror on March 4th of 2005, and it's a report focusing on Harry and William getting their own private secretary. Quote, a tough former SAS commando, Jamie Lawther Pinkerton. So Harry is claiming that he is, quote, very suspicious about these quotes from unidentified friends and ex-colleagues of Jamie's. But MGN has vehemently denied unlawful information gathering. Instead, they're claiming that Mr. Lawther Pinkerton's appointment was officially announced by Clarence House, and that's how they knew about it. Well, unsurprisingly, Harry also lost this one. The judge says that calls by journalists to Jamie Lawther Pinkerton following his appointment as private secretary to Harry and William are not at all suspicious. Well, again, it sounds like Harry's expectations of privacy are a bit unreasonable considering that he is a prince of the realm. He is a public figure. The next piece was again focusing on Chelsea Davy. So this was published in The People, April 24th, 2005, Chelsea's Gap, EIIR. This article is claiming that Chelsea was taking a gap year from her studies to be with her young royal lover, they wrote. Harry's claiming the level of detail in that story is, quote, disturbing, and also that copies of Chelsea and Harry's phone records were obtained. But MGN is maintaining that the info came from a news agency, that there's no evidence whatsoever of phone hacking, and that the details in the article were not even important. They called them, quote, trivial. Well, the judge decided that, in fact, Harry should win this one. The judge said it seems obvious that someone has had access to phone records and voicemails too to be able to report on this. But again, it sounds like it wasn't even Harry's phone that was hacked, it was Chelsea's. But is Chelsea going to see a penny from the money that comes from this case? Absolutely not. The next one is an interesting one. So this was published in The People on May 15th of 2005. Harry Carey is the name of the article. And it's pretty easy to see why Harry was upset about this article. Remember, he pictures himself as this real-life G.I. Joe. Harry believes that his time in the military was when he was the most successful, but this article brings all of that into question because it talks about Harry being let off the runs after hurting his knee. The story claims that cadets at Sandhurst were, quote, furious because Harry didn't have to run like they did. And Harry claims that he was, quote, not going around freely discussing any medical issues or injuries. And he claims the info definitely came from unlawful information gathering. But MGN is saying that a lot of it came from a confidential source, and there is no evidence whatsoever of any phone hacking. The judge ruled against Harry on this one. The judge said that Harry could not have reasonable expectation of privacy in relation to his ability to participate in fitness training at the military academy. And again, I'm sure the judge was right about this one. It was probably the other cadets who tipped off the press. It's another case of Harry expecting these details of his life to remain secret when he's pretty open about them. The next one is again centered on Chelsea Davy. So the headline was shell-shocked. It ran in The People on April 9th of 2006. The article claims that Chelsea, quote, blew her top when she discovered Harry's, quote, boozy evening at a lap dancing club. I mean, honestly, the fact that Harry would want to advertise to the whole world that he even spent a night at a lap dancing club says a lot about who he is as a person. So Harry is claiming that it seems likely that MGN's journalist, quote, had access to one of our phone records to make the story. But MGN is maintaining that there's no evidence of phone hacking, and the info instead came from freelance journalists, one of whom used a confidential source and also a news agency. Harry ended up winning this one. So, according to the judge, the length and content of private phone calls between Harry and Chelsea following his visit to a lap dancing club are, quote, self evidently private in nature. But again, it sounds like it was Chelsea's phone that was hacked, not even Harry's. Harry also does his reputation no favors with this story. I mean, he was supposed to be loyal to Chelsea, and he's out at a lap dancing club. It's interesting how, when you really look at this, you can see a clear pattern emerge. In the pieces where the judge decided that there was unlawful information gathering involved, Chelsea is almost always involved, which makes it sound like Harry's phone may have never even been hacked. It could have been just some friends of his and Chelsea's all along. So the next piece is called Davy Stated, and it ran in the People on September 16th of 2007. The story was all about how Harry's relationship with Chelsea was in crisis after a string of bitter bust-ups. Harry is claiming the info attributed to a palace source was in fact obtained illegally, and that Harry and Chelsea's voicemails were hacked. But MGN is maintaining there's no evidence of phone hacking. Well, it sounds like there was some phone hacking involved. The judge declared that yes, details of fights between Harry and Chelsea were obtained by hacking of their voicemails or their friends' phones, and so Harry won that one. The next piece, I just laughed when I saw the title. The title is Hooray, Harry's Dumped. It ran in the Sunday Mirror on November 11th of 2007. And it was an article all about Harry going on a 2,000-pound vodka binge in a London club after he and Chelsea Davy broke up. So Harry claims that the paparazzi seemed to know exactly where he was, and he is wondering how that article could have known about his fallout with Chelsea. Well, MGN is claiming that the info came from a News of the World story, that in fact there was no phone hacking evidence. They're also insisting they didn't even know if a private investigator invoice related to that article in question. The judge sided with MGN on this one because the judge saw that yes, the story about Chelsea dumping Harry was first published by the News of the World. Stuff like this makes me wonder about Harry's lawyers. I mean, couldn't they have seen that the news story was first published by News of the World, and shouldn't that mean they shouldn't bother including it? I guess not. The next one, Harry lost again. The title was Down in the Dump, and it ran in the Daily Mirror on November 12th of 2007. So again, it was all about Chelsea and Harry breaking up. Harry told the court that at the time, he and Chelsea were not sharing anything with anyone, and the info could have been obtained through a voicemail. But MGN is saying, no, the information came from previous press reports, and it sounds like MGN was more believable in this one. According to the judge, the report of trial separation of Harry and Chelsea was lazy journalism. They were just copying an article from the Mail on Sunday. There was no way Harry was going to win this one. The next one Harry did win because it sounds like they did hack into Chelsea Davies' voicemail again. The headline was, okay if I drop you off here. It ran in the Sunday Mirror on December 2nd of 2007. The judge decided that the report that Chelsea Davies spent the night at Kensington Palace likely was obtained by voicemail interception. The next one, though, was another case of lazy journalism, according to the judge. The headline was Harry Fear as Mobile is Swiped, and it ran in the Daily Mirror on July 26 of 2008. It was an article focusing on Harry being pickpocketed in Lesotho while he was out partying. But other sources had already run this story, so again, I don't understand why Harry's lawyers agreed to include this piece. The next one is another sore topic for Harry because it deals with him being banned from going back to war in Afghanistan, in spite of the fact that he probably was desperate to return. It ran in the People, and the headline was Soldier Harry's Taliban on September 28th of 2008. Harry claims there's no way they could have gotten the details except through unlawful information gathering. And the judge agreed. The judge said the report of Harry being banned from undertaking a second tour to Afghanistan was likely the result of hacking and unlawful information gathering. The next one, though, is also about Chelsea. The headline was "He just loves boozing and army. She is fed up and is heading home." It ran in the Sunday Mirror on January 25th of 2009, and the judge said, quote, "In this frenzied atmosphere of trying to find out about the breakdown of the relationship, I have little doubt that the newspapers were trying everything they could to get more information." So Harry won this one, and it sounds like in this case they were certainly invading the privacy of both Harry and Chelsea. But again, I do wonder if it was Harry's phone that was hacked, or was it indeed Chelsea's? The next report was also all about Harry's romantic life. "What a way to harry on" was the title in the Daily Mirror on March 26th of 2009. Now, the judge claims, though, the report that Harry was openly cavorting with his new girlfriend Astrid in a hospitality box at Twickenham was lazy journalism. They were simply repeating information from the Press Association. But again, why did Harry's lawyers allow him to include this one? The next one Harry won. It was about a date that he had with the Gladiator star. It ran in the Sunday People on April 19th of 2009, and the judge maintained that info about Harry's dinner date with the TV star Caroline Flack probably was obtained from hacking. But again, it's unclear if it was Harry's phone or was it somebody else's. And the final one, Harry also won, because it was all about Chelsea again. The headline was "Chelsea's New Fella," and it ran in the Sunday People on April 26th of 2009. The judge maintained that the story about Harry's bombarding Chelsea, asking her to resume their relationship, probably came from hacking and call data, but boy does that make Harry look bad. And it also really calls into question Harry's relationship with Meghan. One thing we certainly learned from Harry's experience on the witness stand is that he's not over Chelsea. He believes that she was the love of his life, which makes us ask the question, why are you with Meghan? And you, what do you think of this whole phone hacking case? Was Harry a winner or a loser? Please let me know your opinion below in the comments section. If you enjoyed my video, don't hesitate to like and share it with anybody else who would appreciate it too.
And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.